Dennis Menefee from Partstat. Dennis, thanks so much for joining me today. Before we get into any questions, just give me a brief introduction to yourself and to the organization.
Sure. I'm Dennis Menefee. I'm one of the founders of Partstat. Partstat was established almost 30 years ago. This August will be 30 years for us in business. We're a unique company in that we're a big data company, but we also have this unique infrastructure in place that we have an ability to buy and store semiconductor inventory for customers for whatever reason they need us to. Our motto is we buy inventory so you don't have to. Mm-hmm. We probably kicked this new solution off of inventory ownership about 4.5 years ago. Since we've done that, we've secured almost maybe $250 million of inventory for customers through our solution. Very unique offer in that we will purchase maybe up to 5, 10, 15 years of inventory all up front for a customer, lock in the cost for the entire term that they may need that inventory, and then fulfill that inventory to them when they need it, where they need it, at a set price. And so as companies over this last year have gone through this pandemic, I think companies are starting to realize they maybe moving away from more of a just-in-time model to more of a just-in-case model. And as they do that, they're finding that our solutions hit a sweet spot for them because we will secure that inventory for them.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought, Dennis, was, wow, that's too good to be true. And we'll dig into that as we go. But I really wanted to talk specifically about some of the recent disruptions. And you know, we're right in the middle of a bit of a substantial semiconductor supply challenge. How has your solution helped your clients on that, and how difficult has that been for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, our business kind of built around improving business continuity for customers, and for a couple of different types of customers. Customers that make products that have long platforms, maybe aerospace, or you could think of those types of industries that have long life cycles, long platforms. Our model is a great fit for those companies because we will purchase that inventory for them, lock in the cost, and then manage it for them over a long period of time. The other type of customer that is attracted to our solution are companies who are high mix, low volume type customers. These may be customers maybe in the medical field, other types of medical manufacturing types of companies who have a high mix but a low volume, and they tend to get caught in the trap of not having the inventory because they're not at the top of the list for the component manufacturers to disperse that inventory to. So our solution really helps these customers by securing the inventory that they're going to need for their production and service cycles, their business for a long period of time, locking in those costs, and then and improving the business continuity of their business so they have that inventory when they need it. You know, what started out for us as securing components for manufacturers as they were obsoleted from manufacturers through an end-of-life, last-time buy process has now blossomed into customers use our solution for a myriad of reasons why we may purchase inventory on their behalf. Some of those reasons today are definitely still end-of-life, last-time buy. But one of the hot buttons today that we're doing for customers and how we're helping them through this crisis is that we're able to establish buffer stock programs for these customers without any upfront cost. So we essentially will buy in either raw materials, that could be in electronic components and semiconductors and those types of materials. We can buy on that level and provide that inventory to them over a long period of time where we're buying the inventory for them. This improves their free cash flow. They're not having to spend their dollars to secure this inventory. We're spending our dollars. You know, I kind of look at it like a long time ago, back in the 70s, EMS manufacturers or contract manufacturers, if you will, They came about and they went to OEMs and had a value proposition that, we could build your products for you faster and better and for less expensive than what you can build them for. And then OEMs slowly started moving and toward pushing their products to be built by EMS companies. We're doing the same type of thing, but on the inventory front.
Yeah.
Why spend your working capital to secure all of this inventory when there's a cost to carry that inventory every year, when there's a company out there and a solution out there that will purchase the inventory on your behalf, so you can so our customers have those dollars available to invest into winning projects rather than inventory.
Yeah, no, I think it makes perfect sense. I really, I really like the business model, and I can see how it adds value. And the reason I thought it was too good to be true was just the idea that I can get you to lock in 15 years of stock for me for something, and I don't have to use the working capital to do that. I'm assuming I do have to commit to that, though, and I assume that the stock that you've got is actually assigned to me, and that's my responsibility to draw that down at some point.
It is. We do need the commitment, and we tell customers, if you're purchasing $15 million of inventory today and you're bringing it into your storage facility, well, you're committing to it.
Yeah.
So we're not changing the commitment, but we're changing the method in which they commit to that inventory so they preserve their working capital. In many cases, these companies have a cost to carry inventory that's pushed down to the P&L.
Yeah.
And that cost ranges anywhere from we've seen a low of maybe 11 or 12% annually to as high as 22%. And what we do is we purchase that inventory. Not only do that, we preserved almost $30 million of annual inventory carrying costs for customers.
Yeah.
We've saved them about $30 million of annual inventory carrying costs. So not only we're buying it, we're using our capital to buy that inventory, but we're saving them on annual inventory carrying costs. And this, like you mentioned, the inventory secured to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes customers get into a situation where someone else is purchasing the inventory for them, maybe their EMS partner, but the EMS partner may have other customers that also use the same component. So it doesn't really help them on the business continuity front, whereas our solution does provide that solution.
Yeah, and you talked earlier about being a data-driven company. You're obviously into data storage and how you manage that, but you're obviously into component storage and how you manage that as well. Have you had to gain a lot of expertise on, moisture sensitivity, how you store components? Because if you are storing stuff for that length of life, there's a lot of expertise required in that process.
Very much so. It is definitely a specialty. It's not just a 3PL where some warehouse could just store this inventory like maybe an Agility or some of these Kuehne Nagel or some of these big 3PL companies, even UPS or FedEx. They're not designed to handle sensitive electronic material. Our warehousing here in Winter Springs, Florida, is all air-conditioned, humidity-controlled environment. We actually take business continuity to another level. Inside of our warehouse, we have a semiconductor vault. As far as I know, it's one of the first in the industries. And what we do is when we buy end of life, or the way we like to look at it is irreplaceable semiconductors, because it's not a matter of just carrying insurance that if a fire burns those semiconductors, you get your money back on that inventory. You need the inventory for down cycle service revenues or production revenues. And if it can't be made again, well, then insurance is not going to help you. So inside of our warehouse, we have a semiconductor vault. It's actually a vault. It has an 1,100-pound door. It's got its own air-conditioned, humidity-controlled environment. And so when we buy end-of-life, last-time buy components for customers, we store them inside the vault for future delivery.
Yeah, so you've got stuff literally locked away in the vault. And you talked about business continuity. I think data continuity and kind of process continuity is really important there as well. So I'm kind of curious how Partstat lives inside their manufacturing ecosystem, their manufacturing software, and how they can, how they can pull components from you, how they can manage their just-in-time and their just-in-case simultaneously by using your processes and services.
Yeah, good question. So on the data front, we're, as I mentioned when we started, we're this unique company in that we have this big data on millions of semiconductors. As a matter of fact, we have over 50 billion data points on over 20 million different unique semiconductors and electronic components. Mm-hmm. These are all of the major authorized suppliers in the world, companies like Arrow, Avnet, Future, DigiKey, and all of the major component manufacturers like Intel, AMD, all these different companies provide us data, either an FTP feed or a daily feed of their inventory positions, their lead time positions, their obsolescence issues. And then all of that data is correlated onto the Partstat platform. And then we offer a bill of material monitoring service. So customers, how we can integrate with customers and provide our solutions in a seamless environment is that we can monitor a bill of material for customers for obsolescence. We're also one of the only monitoring companies that monitors for lead time trends. So these alerts get pushed automated to the customer. They're automated, they get pushed to the customer. If a part transitions to obsolescence, they get a notification that a part is transitioning to obsolescence. The notification also goes to an internal solutions expert who does a verification for the customer on the obsolescence, maybe gathers any data sheets or any end of life notice that maybe the component manufacturer produced. And then from there, we work with that customer to help secure the end of life purchase that they may need to purchase to secure business continuity.
Okay, you guys must have been really popular the last few months with this whole component thing. Has it been a real boon? Has it? I mean, I can see that people would be looking for this kind of service, but I think, like many people, I was unaware that this kind of service existed. So, how have people managed to find you, and has it been a boon time?
It has been. We've seen double-digit increase in our business over 19 and 20 and each year. So the reason we've seen that, I think, is customers at first they do a little bit what you said. When you first saw this, you were like, "Wait a minute,
yeah."
What's going on here? We were at a trade show for aerospace, military and aerospace here in Tennessee. Before the pandemic hit, I think it was in late 18. And many of the companies were stopping by and talking to us at the trade show, and they were scratching their head like, wait a minute, tell me again, you're going to buy inventory for me. You're going to use your capital to buy it. You're going to give us 10 years to take delivery of it, and we're going to pay you along the way. That's what you want to do. And we're like, yes, that's what we want to do. As a matter of fact, we work in synergy with Arrow and Avnet Electronics. I'm sure you heard of those companies. Yeah. Many times, Arrow and Avnet, who are also publicly traded companies, they'll make the initial purchase for the customer, but they only want to hold inventory at about a 12-month time frame. We'll get a call from those companies to basically what we do at that point is we buy the inventory from Arrow and Avnet. We buy the inventory off their balance sheet. We move the obligation to purchase that inventory to their OEM customer, and then provide their customer an extended term. Maybe, I think the average term for us is about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And so we offer them an extended term to take delivery and pay for that inventory as they need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that makes sense. And it's, it's hugely valuable to those customers. I think it's a great product offering, Dennis, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think people are going to be really interested to hear about it. From a business standpoint, as you've gone through the whole pandemic, through the whole COVID process, how's that been for the team? How's it been getting everybody functioning without coming into your central facility, working from different places, working remotely? you're a data-driven company, so I guess, you know, data's everywhere. You can access that wherever you are at home.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, at first for us, it was a little paradigm shift because, as you mentioned, we always come to the office. Everybody always come to the office and work together as a team. At first, you know, communication was key. It was very important to establish some ground rules up front so that everybody understood how we're going to communicate, when we're going to communicate, and then thank God for technologies like this, like Zoom and MS Teams. You know, we do a lot of things like that now. We even are doing some audits, virtual audits. So as companies onboard us and they couldn't fly here to perform an audit, we've been providing virtual audits. So we get them on a Zoom or an MS Teams call, and we're basically walking them around the facility. They're looking and they're seeing the facility. They're asking questions. And so we've had to adapt and adjust to the current times. I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. And I'm really happy to say, great companies start with who you hire. And for us, you know, we pride ourselves in trying to hire the best people that we possibly can do. And, you know, if you hire the best people, you only have to worry about the good things, right?
Yeah.
So performance was great. Everybody communicated well. And, more importantly, we were able to take care of customers through that time frame.
Yeah, and everybody adapts, don't they? I think that's the important thing, how people have adapted to this crisis. And I think some people have, you know, picked up tools like Zoom and really used them well and really used them creatively in terms of making sure the team dynamic is good, not just for business, but for morale as well. And, you know, I think that's essential. And there are some things I think we've learned through the pandemic that will take forward and will benefit the business. So I think it's been a fascinating time, hasn't it?
No doubt for us. And, you know, all of this this whole semiconductor issue is just a perfect storm of things that happen. You know, many of the semiconductor manufacturers were caught in the crosshairs because many of their customers, especially like automotive or consumer IT, you know, as soon as the pandemic hit, all of these companies cut back their orders with the component manufacturers, and you know, building more fab space is at least a 5-year time frame to do those types of things. And you know, automotive manufacturers like Ford and Toyota and Volkswagen and GM, they all cut their orders, and when they did, you know, the semiconductor manufacturers kind of did the same thing. They cut back on production. And then I think it was around the third quarter of 2020 where all of the automotive manufacturers, it was like it went from the frying pan to the fire, right? You know, or from ice cold to the fire. It just a complete 180. All of a sudden, demand picked back up, and the chip manufacturers had already recommitted that
capacity.
Consumers and IT companies. And the automotive companies, you heard the news, you know, GM and all these companies, they couldn't get the semiconductors that they needed. So, you know, it's been quite a, you know, and then plus that you had a fire in Japan that affected printed circuit boards. You had shipping issues. You had containers were in shortage. You know, companies couldn't get shipping containers because they were sitting on docks and ports. And so they were paying premiums to get shipping containers to ship their products.
So no, it's fascinating. Yeah, and it's fascinating, Dennis. It's, you know, we talk a lot about the pandemic, but before the pandemic, we were disrupted by tariffs of various different things. Right now, it's the you know, component shortages. There will be other disruptions. We've been in the industry long enough to know that it's, you know, it's not if there are disruptions going to come along, it's what and when. And we have to be ready for it. And, you know, the kind of processes and systems and services you're putting in place are helping to streamline that and are helping to, you know, kind of take out some of those bumps. And yeah, I think the automotive industry thinking, you know, semiconductors is just a tap we can switch off and switch back on at full speed when we need it. That's a little naive, and, you know, just in time is a great thing when it works, but it's an ugly thing when it goes wrong. So
I'm telling you, and they definitely have been experiencing that. And
yeah,
you bring
lessons
up
learned.
another great point is the geopolitical environment. You know, the U.S. government, you know, made it tough for U.S. companies to export chips to China. And in turn, what happened at that point is a lot of the China manufacturers they stockpiled certain types of critical components, especially in areas like 5G and other types of components. And then in turn with that, China put same kind of restrictions on U.S. companies. So you put all these things together. It was just a perfect storm, and it was probably a ticking time bomb that was gonna, like you said, it was gonna happen at some point,
Yeah.
and it all came together in 2020.
Yeah, yeah. No, it absolutely shows the need for continuity, and you know, as you mentioned, national supply chain security is becoming a thing as well. So resilience is, you know, super important now. So all good things that we need to be aware of in our business continuity planning and the way we run our supply chains going forward. Dennis, it's been
Yeah,
fascinating to chat. I've learned lots. And I hope our audience has too. Look forward to chatting again, but I wish you every success during the coming months, and hope we can talk again soon. Thank you so much for your time.
great. Thank you so much for including us in this. We really appreciate it.